what you can train yourself to do is not reject it. You know, it's, you know, all music isn't like, you know, this is a golden age argument as well. Well, it's strange because I like you guys, I grew up in the 80s too, and that's not my golden age because the music was fucking, it wasn't too many, it was terrible.
The golden age is what you get access to. There was games available, but I never got to see them, so I don't care. I played the ones I could get hold of. What's weird about my golden age is I have to understand everyone else's is legitimate. And it's very hard because your instinct is to go, no, mine's best. And you go, well,
but I don't feel that way about the games I grew up with, I guess. I mean, that's what like propelled me to make the games that I do. I don't know. I was a gamer, you know, ever since I was little, but it was really hard for me. I mean, unless I'm still in my golden age, maybe, but it was really hard for me until really the last few years to answer that question of what's your favorite game of all time. Like, I know the games I spent time on, but I don't know. The ones that like grabbed me emotionally and have moved me. I mean, this really has just happened in the last few years.
I think, you know, it's interesting. I think golden age can change too. You know, I had the same, you know, set of, you know, growth experiences you guys did. We all grew up with the same classes and everything. But a new golden age for me is now I play games with my kids. And so the games that I'm choosing to play and the reward that comes out of that gameplay is as valuable, if not more so, than what I remember. I mean, you know, we tend to look back with very fond memories of that, very, you know, key critical things in our past. And I completely agree with you. We look back with that resonance of, well, of course, my experience with my Big 20 is better than yours with your Big 20 because clearly yours was inferior.
I call that game track. Like the soundtrack of your life.
Hold on a minute. You have something called game track?
I do, yeah.
Paul, perhaps you could describe it.
Well, it's because it's the reason I bring up the golden. I bring up in interviews because I've got to snap them out of it because I want them to be created now. I don't want to try and make their past. Game track was when I realised that I don't give a crap about music that much. But if you put on a certain loading screen sound or a certain screen or a certain box, I instantly teleport back to wherever I was in my life when that happened. And I remember where I was sitting, what I was doing, what the smell was, what the mother was, what the wallpaper looked like. It's the strangest thing. I have a very strong, like, life memory. And so these games, when I'm up there in the exhibit, every time I see a game that's on my game track, I go, ooh, that's what I think that as game makers, one of the things to aim for is to try and make a game worthy of going on someone's game track. And for some people, those games are just because they got it for Christmas and they liked it and had time. But imagine actually setting out, I think Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 together is a generational game track game. I think there are groups of people who will remember. I remember that. I remember playing 1, 2, 3, getting to the end. But one of the other things I think is fascinating about future games, I've identified two things that I think are really interesting. First, technology went backwards. One of the few times it's ever happened. Up until then, games were always about higher fidelity, more triangles, more polygons, more. And all of a sudden, we slipped backwards. Be it trying to make it work on a phone, or trying to make it work in a browser, trying to get a download time. And that limitation was fabulous.
That's normal, though. We started off with arcade games. We jumped back to home consoles. We went forward to home consoles, then we jumped back to handhelds, then we're forward to handhelds, now we're jumping back to phones. What's the next thing going to be?
That's been the big breakthrough.
Of course, I know.
Oh, well, you're older than me.
No.
The other thing that's happened along with that is a breadth of the people who play games. You say to someone, are you a gamer? And they'll go yes or no. If you're a gamer, how many hours do you play games a week? Well, he has done a lot of research. It's about 19. Are you not a gamer? No, absolutely not. I do not identify. But you've got access to things on your phone. How many hours do you need? 12 hours. And you go, well, you're a gamer then. And then you get, what is the average gamer age? It's really high. And so you've got this weird thing of, you know, games have become everywhere. It's just, for the hardcore people, it's the wrong games. Not supposed to be playing Facebook games. The wrong type of games are all supposed to be playing consoles. And so there's more people playing.
I try to comment. I think a lot, I get questions all the time, like, well, do you think games should be this, or do you think games should be that? And I think that's such a sad question. You know, I think games should be whatever floats anybody's boat. And I read that a lot. There's a lot of developers get incensed when people are working in a different space. And, you know, especially at think on the indie side, especially when they feel really passionate, that games should never, you know, like there's a lot of people say games should, like World of Warcraft is evil because it's this gambling mechanic. And yeah, it is just gambling mechanic, so what, it's fun, you know, and you should make the game you want to make, and you should make the game you want to make. It's all, you know, I think it's all good. I'm not sure where that kind of snobbery comes from.
And it's the changing of gaming. There was lean-in gaming on PCs, lean-back gaming on consoles, and then there's this like curl-up gaming on your sort of thing. It's really quite interesting. The other thing I do when people come for interviews, I talk to them, is I point out that a lot of games, HD games, high definition games, they're there to reassure and reflect, whereas the indie space is there to like challenge and champion. And you just got to get used to those two different ways. They're okay. We can all live together because we're all making games. Isn't it kind of cool? And it's, you know, you can go do it.
But beyond like a sense of snobbery, I think there is reason to have genuine concern as games take a larger place in our culture. You know, that's why we want to have these conversations right now, because there's sort of an opportunity to really shape what we're thinking about as an industry and sort of talk about these issues before they sort of spiral out of any sense of control. I think like when you look at television, you know, and
but isn't that what art is? Art is about spiraling out of control. Like I don't want my art in control. I want it out of control.
well, but then we can still have a conversation around what sort of artistic responsibility. If it is art, then there's artistic responsibility that goes along with that. As makers, you know, just as though, you know, if you want to own a restaurant, you know, you can choose to create a restaurant that uses local food and has all these great processes, or you can choose to own a McDonald's. And there are things that are problematic about McDonald's food and the way that they add additives and sugar to you know, have greater desire. That's sort of not good for you.
Yeah, but I don't think ideas are trans fats.
I think we've missed this conversation. I think television is a great example of this, where we have, yes, regulations that prevent cursing and from nudity, but you still have the Jersey Shore, you know, doing what they do.